Learn the most advanced recruiting techniques. Land the most desirable talent. Launch your company towards massive success. This is the Higher Power Radio Show with Rick Girard.
So here's a shocker for you guys today. Hiring good people is apparently hard. Or is it? So maybe we can just make it hard on ourselves because we make compromises based on need. Today we're going to talk to a guest who is going to share his hiring journey with us, one startup who actually managed to beat the odds and have a solid team. Today's quote: the pessimist sees difficulty in every opportunity. The optimist sees opportunity in every difficulty. Any idea who said that?
I'm going to take a wild guess. Is it Winston Churchill?
Boom. That is on point. We are correct. We got a winner chicken dinner. All right. I'm Rick Girard, and welcome to the Higher Power Radio Show. Our mission is to help entrepreneurs and hiring managers avoid costly hiring mistakes. We identify a specific problem and provide proven solutions to help you win the hire. So we share insights from top performing rebel entrepreneurs, disruptors, and industry experts like our guest today, Mr. Anderee Berengian. He is the co-founder and CEO of C Digital Labs. Mm-hmm. With more than 20 years of experience in steering corporate and product strategy, Anderee is an accomplished entrepreneur, technologist, and investor, passionate about driving progress through digital innovation. At C, Berengian is responsible for building a world-class execution-focused team and growing C's digital transformation ideas into sustainable, profitable companies. Anderee, welcome to the Higher Power Radio Show today.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you. So today we're going to cover a few things. We're going to cover what really makes hiring hard, and we're going to talk about how we can make it easier. We're going to keep it simple. What do you think?
Easy.
Does that roll?
Easy.
All right. So when we talked on the phone a few days ago, you said something to me that actually sparked this whole thought process, which was an organism rejects the thing that doesn't belong.
Yeah.
You quote, and I love that. So I want to explore that because that's actually something that I think most of the entrepreneurs in the audience actually need to be reminded about. Mm-hmm. So talk to me about that.
Well, what I meant by that was, if you look at the things that we look for when we're hiring folks, I don't think any of them will surprise you, right? No. So we look at skill set, of course. Do you have the skills for that particular role? We spend a lot of time looking at cultural fit. And the cultural fit part is really important. And that's what I meant when I said the organism rejects the thing that doesn't belong. And we've had that in the past where folks come in and, they're just different, but not different in a good way, different in a way where it just doesn't mesh with the way that everyone else works and everyone else behaves. And so very quickly, you can tell that there's all these folks here that are executing and hitting on all cylinders. And then there's this thing over here, this person over here that doesn't quite mesh.
Sure.
And so what we try to do as much as we can is, of course, test for the skill set. You got to make sure that engineers can code and marketers can market, but also just make sure that the way that they behave and perform and function really fits in with the way that everybody else is kind of works and functions.
Yeah, absolutely. So how long did it take you to realize that when you're a young entrepreneur, you don't realize that you have a job that needs to be done and you have a body that's willing to do the work?
Yeah.
At what point did that kick in where maybe I should start looking at cultural fit?
A long time ago. I've been in the startup world for a very long time. And in the early days, it's exactly what you said. Okay, I need here's a task, here's a person, go. And then what we find is that technically speaking, the person could do the task, but in terms of having a cohesive function with everybody else, it wasn't working. And so we found that out very, very early in my career and have taken that as a learning lesson all the way through the rest of my career.
So the skills are important, but the cultural value is even more important.
I think so.
You know who's a key driver of that is Amazon.
Yeah.
Amazon interviews and 80% of the hiring decision is based on whether or not you fit their core corporate values, right?
That's right.
Their leadership principles.
That's right.
They call them. Yeah. Most entrepreneurs really need to start thinking about what do I want my culture to be like or what the actual culture is as opposed to what they want it to be.
That's right.
Yeah. So how do we truly interview? What are you looking for when you're interviewing or hiring culture? You had to question that yourself, right?
Right.
So what was the process for doing that?
What we do on the culture side is so we try to look at it in parallel. So we have folks that will look at skill set from a technical perspective, and then we will have folks that are maybe not necessarily within that functional group. So let's say it's an engineer that somebody who's outside of engineering or a group of people that are outside of engineering that would also interact with the person and look for things like just the cultural fit, right? Would I be able to work with this person, and try to assess that ability to collaborate? Because no one works in an isolated silo. Everyone works as a team. And so I can't just assess that my engineering team thinks that this one particular person is a good engineer and good cultural fit. It has to be really assessed across all the functional areas.
And that's a really key thing. So a lot of people just don't realize that. When did you realize that I don't need to compartmentalize different departments, but really, hey, look at we need to make this a cross-functional.
Well, we realized that when we did it the other way, and it didn't work.
It didn't work.
So that's how we realized it. But if you look at it, there's very few, at least in our companies, there's very few roles that are isolated to sit at your desk and just work. Everybody somehow, some shape, form is engaging and interacting with other folks on the team. And so it's really important to make sure that that interaction is positive and accretive, so that 1 + 1 = 7 versus 1 + 1 = just 1.
A cohesive team is going to outperform an individual
all day long.
3 to 1 all day long, right?
Just like a sports team.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. So let's talk about pain points, because a lot of companies are trying to hire right now. There's a talent shortage.
Yeah.
What are you guys doing differently, to attract people? Not in the interview process, but like just to get people.
Yeah. So one of the things that the C headquarters is here in Orange County. It's in Irvine, and one of the things that we've been doing is trying to firstly explain why this is a great environment to be in. There's a lot of talent that comes to us from outside the area, and so of course there's folks locally, and we can get to them more easily. But the folks that come from outside the area, so Northern California, other places, East Coast, etc., and we explain to them why it's fantastic. And my head of ops and the whole recruiting team does a great job. We just had a meme that we put up on social media, LinkedIn and so on, that showed the difference between San Francisco and Irvine. And we talked
you
about
buy a house in Irvine.
We talked about population.
Yeah.
We talked about things like exactly how expensive it is, cost of living, and then kind of in a funny element, we talked about the fact that in Irvine you don't need a poop app to track. I don't know if you know, in San Francisco they have an app to basically make sure you know where all the things are that you don't want to step on throughout the city. We put a little humor to work, but also try to highlight that this is a fantastic place to be and live. So once we get your attention, then we talk about all the awesome things and opportunities inside the companies.
Okay, so you're getting people to lean in from that. Are people engaging with you because of that?
The social works really well. I do a bunch of bylines and talk a lot about kind of our strategic focus and the problems that we're trying to solve. That gets a lot of attention from folks. Additionally, we do a lot of outreach and we go to events, but very selectively, because we just don't have the manpower to go to every single event. So there was a golf tournament, for example, on Friday last week that was done by, I'm an Overture and Yahoo alumnus. Okay. And so it was done by some of the alum over in Palos Verdes. And so huge group of technical folks, mostly CTO folks, that came to this golf tournament last week. And we went there and did a little activation and wanted to talk about the company. So we're very selective about how we do it, because scale is really important. Social gives us scale. Doing things in person is harder, but we'll selectively pick things and participate in those things to the extent that we can.
So how are you letting people know about your culture?
You mean in person, or you mean over the...
Just if I'm interested in working with you guys, how do I find out about your culture? Like, what is the messaging that you're getting across?
If you look at our social feed, the website, and others, it's very clear. To me, everybody, that's one of the number one comments that I get is like, we love following you guys on social, because we get a sense that you have an awesome culture. And what comes across is, we do cool things, build amazing businesses, solve big problems, and then we have a lot of fun. And in every post, you'll see something about one of those characteristics.
All right, what about the icky stuff?
What's the icky stuff?
The icky stuff is the things that happen when nobody's looking, how people act.
Yeah.
So some companies, they have this persona that their culture is so amazing.
Yeah.
But then you get into it and you start working there, you're like, oh my God, this place is a shit show.
Yeah.
Maybe you guys do a great job of keeping everybody elevated. I don't know, but there's always like some sort of...
So we have icky stuff, as you put it. It's not
trying to be nice.
It's not on culture. So let me talk about this in two steps. So number one, on the culture side, I have had folks who come here and they'll come after 3 or 6 months to come to me and say, you know what? There's actually no jerks inside the four walls of this business. It's amazing.
You've done a great job of screening that out.
And I feel like that's really the case. And like I said, the organism rejects what's not like the other, and that happens. Where we have icky stuff is, you got to remember, in our business, we are building many startups, and those startups are solving many difficult problems. And the icky stuff for us is, always iterating on and figuring out how to solve those problems without going insane, right? Because everybody's hair is on fire because we're constantly trying to figure out how to solve different things and grow the business. I know, I can see.
Excuse me. Yeah.
So
I had hair 2 weeks ago.
So lots of icky stuff.
Yeah.
So that's where our focus is a lot of times. I think on the culture side, we figured out, we're not perfect by any means, but we figured out a good cadence on that. A lot of focus is always spent for us on execution because we've got these ideas that we want to take to market or these problems we want to solve, and we spend all of our time really focused on that. That's the icky stuff for us.
That's good icky stuff.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, that's a much better icky stuff than some of the other companies that you see where like just there's so much turmoil, politics, and just that's the icky stuff I'm talking about.
They're honestly like that's something, and I think maybe I'll take some credit for that comes from the top. Is I don't like politics. I've been in many organizations where people are doing things behind the scenes. I hate that. I'm very blunt. I want everybody else to be blunt. I don't want feelings hurt, so I'm sensitive a bit to that, but I also just want to execute. And so I think everybody kind of follows that same course. And so I think as a result, that makes us a bit more efficient.
Well, the culture is a direct mirror of you, of the leadership. So if that's you, then hey.
Well, me and the rest of the leaders, I won't take all the credit for that.
Well, it comes from the top down, right? Yeah. So you're listening to the Higher Power Radio Show. I'm your host, Rick Girard. For our podcast listeners, we're going to take a quick educational moment from our sponsors. Find out how healing career wounds attracts amazing people to your company. Sign up for our free webinar at search.com. Today, our guest is Anderee Berengian. He is the co-founder and CEO of C Digital Labs, and we're talking about his hiring journey and how he builds companies based on culture first and skill second. Let's dig into a little bit about what you guys do uniquely in the interview process. What were some of the mistakes you made in the beginning? How did you correct them? And then go into your journey of what you do now.
So I think it's very common to say, I'm hiring an engineer, so let the engineering group do the interview and talk to them and give a thumbs up. I'm hiring a marketer, I'm going to do that, a product person, etc. And so what we realize with that, again, is, as I was saying earlier, is that it really assumes a siloed environment, and that's just not what the case is. It's not a siloed environment. It's something that almost everyone has to work cross-functionally across the organization and then within their own organization. So if you think about building companies, which is what we do, a company isn't just built by engineers. It's also built by marketers and product people and finance people and accounting people. You see how that goes, right?
Absolutely.
So what we realize is that we're not hiring a person, we're hiring a team member, and that team member needs to be part of a team. And that means the team needs to look and say, okay, this person will fit as part of what we're doing. Now, skills, 100%, we look at hard skills to make sure that they're actually able to do what they do. So we have a test that the engineers do and the UX folks do, a use case and so on. But aside from that, what we do is we try to bring folks in to talk to folks cross-functionally, and then we try to, time permitting, just see how they behave in a more casual environment. So we'll bring folks in to meet with folks casually during lunches. When we bring in lunches into the office, we'll have people come in and, hey, bring them in on Monday. They're going to have lunch with us and just see how it goes. And then we'll invite everybody to just come and talk to them. And then we'll get feedback from folks. Well, how did that go? And, getting folks in a non-interview environment is better than an interview environment because people are tense and maybe they talk from a script. And what we want to do is not have them do that and just be themselves. You're
actually putting people in a comfort zone where they're not completely nervous and going to blow it.
Yes.
So you're getting a truer vision of who that person is.
100%. We do a lot of team building activities. Like we're doing one this week. We'll do things like
where are we going?
Bowling or kart racing. We took the company to Catalina once to do some activities there and so on. And so what we'll do is if we have hires that are about to start, we'll actually bring them as part of that. And so then they're just part of the team. And so they get to come bowling with us, to go to these activities, and then everybody's just kind of assessing to see, how does this person behave? And I'm sure they're assessing us as well, which is good. It's not just a one-way thing. They have to also assess if they want to work with us or be with us.
Where are you guys going on Friday?
Bowling.
Bowling?
Yeah.
Because Paul's a big bowler. Paul's our producer of the radio. I mean, our
Paul, you should come with us.
Yeah.
What are you doing at 2 o'clock?
I can't get shoes that fit me, which is kind of a bummer. I don't look good in clown shoes for some reason.
I'm not a good bowler, but I try.
Yeah. Walk me through what an interview looks like. So I would imagine you reach out to somebody, you do a phone screen, mm-hmm. You invite them in to come in for an interview. Like how many steps is in the interview process?
Okay, so steps. high level, some of them, we tweak a little bit here and
Yeah.
there, but high level, we've got a recruiting team that, there's two ways that people come to us. Believe it or not, I get a large amount of inbound through social,
Referrals.
LinkedIn. People are like, hey, I just saw your company, and I put them in touch with our recruiting team. The recruiting team also does what they need to do, which is they recruit. They go to events and activities, but also leverage technology and social to reach out to folks. So then from there, we build a funnel.
What's the percentage of people that are maybe coming through referrals as well? Are you guys working that?
I would say, okay, so off the top of my head, I would say of the people in the funnel, I'd say probably a quarter of them come from referrals.
Okay. People already known to people within the organization.
Either known, friends, people that like, hey, the number one way that it comes is I keep seeing your stuff on social. You guys keep posting stuff. You had another press release about something. You had some other, one of your companies got funding, and so then people reach because they read that and they reach in and say, excuse me, how can I be part of that?
Well, that's how I reached out to you guys. Kept seeing you post all over the place. I'm like, this looks like a cool company. I need to get you on the show.
Yeah, and that's the thing is for us is just storytelling. So once we have that, then the recruiters reach out and talk to folks, and then we build a funnel. And from there, what we try to do really quickly is take that funnel, phone screen everybody, and just make sure that there's some level of fit, because you can't 100% tell even skill set or anything from just a LinkedIn profile, right? You could tell, okay, they've been at this company, they have this title, but not really sure what that means.
What are you looking for in that phone conversation?
In the phone conversation, it's a quick conversation to figure out high level. Is there a fit on skill set and also on the cultural side, right?
Okay.
So where are you coming from? Are you coming from a really big, organized, established business? Do you have startup experience? Do you have growth experience where a company goes from small to big really quickly? Whatever we're screening for at the time. So we're trying to understand really quickly, is there some type of start of a match? If there is, then we can say, okay, this goes in the yes pile. And if there isn't, we say, sorry, there wasn't a fit, move on.
So everybody who submits a resume, they're getting a call from your recruiter?
Either a call or some of the stuff you can just look at and say, okay, well, you have, let's say, pretend you have real estate experience. I don't do anything in that space, so I'm sorry. So but everybody, that's one of actually comments that we've gotten many, many, many times is that you guys actually respond to everything. And the team, it may take them a little while because they're busy, but they will respond to everything and they will close the loop.
That's really important.
They will close the loop.
But that right there is really important. Yes. Close the loop with everybody.
Yes.
Everybody.
Yes. And when we look at it and say, look, if I'm on the other side, I would want to know, hey, did you even look at my stuff or do you care? And so every inbound that I get that makes sense, I mean, sometimes they get marketing and sales, but anything that makes sense, I always send to the recruiters. The recruiters always put in the funnel and they follow up.
And by the way, that's the biggest way to not get bad Glassdoor reviews.
Yeah, this is true.
The biggest complaint on Glassdoor is, I sent in my resume 9 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Still haven't heard anything.
Haven't heard.
Yeah.
Nothing. And it's actually, we've gotten emails from candidates that said, wow, I understand I didn't get the job. That's fine. I can't believe that you ran through the entire process and then returned with, here's what's going on. Sorry, it wasn't a fit. We're going to keep you in our database and actually closing the loop. It's a really big plus for folks because they have finality, right? They know what's going on.
Exactly.
Versus being in limbo.
It's like if you don't do it, it's worse than actually breaking up with a Post-it note.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Or like a text.
Exactly.
I'm breaking up with you, thanks. I just move all my stuff out.
Exactly.
At least you're getting closure there, right?
Exactly. And that's the goal. The goal is to just, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Just because it doesn't, we still treat people the right way.
Okay.
So we go through that screen, and in that screen, we're looking for, the semblance, the starts of culture, technical fit, and just background. So you were at this company and that company. What does that mean? What did you actually do? Did you manage people? Did you not? Just trying to get a sense. Because we might be looking for a senior person that's managed people. Maybe we're looking for a team member who hasn't managed people, but sometimes it's not clear, what we see online.
Is it clear to you guys what you're looking for every time? Because I find there's where there's a big gray area with a lot of companies is that, okay, I know I need somebody to come in, kind of do this work. I'll know what the right candidate looks like when I see it.
It's harder to do it that way, though.
You can't accurately find the right person, right?
Correct.
It's a moving target.
What we do, correct. What we do is we try to start out with a job description, which is here's the thing that we're looking for. We put it out there, and then we'll iterate on that depending on what we see in the market. So I'll give you an example. Years ago, maybe 2 years ago, we were looking for a product person or product people and UX people. And then we said, well, what if we put those two together and get a product designer, which really should do both product and UX. And so we started doing that. But here's what happened. When we did that, we looked at our funnel, and the funnel for product is big. The funnel for UX is big. The minute you put the two together, the funnel shrinks to just about nothing. Not because people don't have that skill. No, but it is and it isn't, because also then you have your ratios of how many you need in the funnel to get one out the bottom of the funnel.
All right, we'll talk about that, because you don't need as many to get in the funnel in order for you to get out.
Just teach me.
I take a targeted approach. I go after 10 first and then expand out that way.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Yeah.
We do the same after we filter, but sometimes there's, nuances in what we do. In the example I was giving with the product designer, so we looked at this, we looked at that, and then we looked at the product designer and realized there's far less of them. And we researched and found and, kind of did their interview process and so on. And we found folks. But what we realized is that it wasn't that there weren't product designers out there. It's that people didn't classify themselves that way and they didn't talk about themselves that way.
Because they try to specialize, right?
In their mind, I'm just a product guy. Well, no, you also know this other stuff. But in their mind, they identify with one or the other. And so it was really hard for us because we had this grandiose thing of we're going to go after a product designer who does both things in one. It's amazing. And then realize that maybe we have to expand our search anyway because people aren't self-identifying in the right way. Right. So that was a learning lesson for us. And then we kind of switched our
That's a really good learning lesson.
Our recruiting process.
All right. So I've had my phone screen. That goes well.
Yeah.
You move me into the process.
Really quickly, what we try to do is you do the phone screen, and then really quickly we try to get you in the office to meet with folks. So usually you're meeting with a recruiter, somebody on the recruiter, just to kind of give you a sense of what's going on the recruiting team, and then that person is your Sherpa or your shepherd to get you through.
Ooh, I love the word.
Yeah.
I love the Sherpa word.
we Sherpa people, and then we get them through. And then depending on the role, again, if it's a contributor or a team member versus a senior person, you'll meet with a different number of people. If you're a team member, then you'll meet with some folks that would be part of that same team. You would also start meeting with folks that are cross-functional.
Are you getting it all done in one day, or are you bringing it back a couple times?
We try. Okay. So it also depends on...
That's a long day.
Because a lot of people also, have jobs, and so they can sneak away for a little bit here and a little bit there. But what we try to do as much as possible is to get that done as quickly as possible. Maybe towards the end of the day, we go through and meet with a whole bunch of folks. And then we'll try to invite them back for the social piece of it, right? So let's go to happy hour. Let's go to come to lunch, that kind of thing, and just get to know them that way.
How many people am I talking? Like, you line me up for a day interview. How many people am I meeting with?
It depends on the role again, but I'd say somewhere between maybe 4 and 7.
Okay.
So not a lot, but not just one.
Is it more conversational or is it more intentional?
So it's conversational, but with intention. So again, if you have a product, if you have a product person who has to work with an engineer, they're going to be asking questions related to their interaction. So, hey, I got to build this. So how do I know that you're going to actually tell me the right things to build and come up with the right things? Give me some examples. So it's with an intention, right? So, but it's conversational, which is, I always start my interviews by saying, tell me your story. So when I say tell me your story, some people get their resumes out and they start reading that. Some people say, I like to do off-road dirt biking. I mean,
that's the best way to actually get an idea. Like, you leave it open-ended.
Yeah.
Actually, I say, tell me a little bit about your story starting from your childhood and where you grew up. Because I want to see if they can walk me through this journey. What ends up happening is people go, well, I grew up in Irvine. I went to college at da-da-da-da. And then they start walking me through their resume.
Right. Most people, that's their tendency.
Yeah.
So they immediately pick it up. Okay, let me tell you. So first I did this, then I did... No. I want your story. Tell me who you are.
I want to know about you as a person.
Who are you?
Yeah.
What's your passions? Because if you tell me that, we're going to build some type of, let's say, a game company or something like a gaming business, and you tell me that you have no interest in that, I want to know that right away, right?
Yeah.
Like, I really hate games. Okay, well, then you're probably not the right candidate. Let's go to someone else. But I want to know, because that goes to culture. You tell me your story, and I can tell if you're, are you driven or are you not? I can tell you if you're a kind person or not. I can tell that really quickly based on what you tell me.
I had a friend who is a CTO at a company, and he had this experience where he brought this guy in. He thought the guy was really good, but he was a terrible interviewer. And then he finally got him started talking about what he was passionate about. And the guy would brew beer in his bathtub.
Oh. Wow.
Like he was crazy. Like, he had a bathtub. He was brewing beer. I don't know if it was in his bathtub, but I mean, he had the equipment in his bathtub. And he started getting into it, and he was really passionate about it. And he walked him through the details of it. He figured out that this guy knew so much about it that when he got involved or passionate about work, that it would translate.
Bingo.
And that was a really creative way in which somebody who would have blown an interview because the guy got nervous was able to turn it around and take that.
I think that's an example of the way that we would love an interview to go. Don't just tell me that you were here and you hire, you manage 5 people. Tell me more about yourself, and then I can get a sense of, like I said, how committed, if you're passionate about something, are you committed? Are you going to get it done? I mean, who brews beer themselves? Not that many people, but I'm sure this guy was super, super passionate about it.
So don't be a robot when you go to interviews.
No, don't be a robot. Don't worry.
Show your personality.
That personality is really important because that allows us, again, we're testing for culture and technical fit, and that allows us to do both in one conversation.
You go in, then you bring them back for the interaction afterwards.
Yeah, the social interaction.
And then you make a decision how soon after that?
Really quickly. What we try to do as much as we can is we try to, and it's hard to do this, but we try to tranche out a role and say, can we get, like you were saying earlier, can I get 10 candidates or whatever in there? Because if you have one, it could be the best person that you have, or it could be the worst person. You don't know. So you need also something to compare to. So we try to bring them in kind of cohorts and say, okay, for this role, I got 10 people, whittle down to 5 or 4 or whatever it is, and then quickly go through all of them, have the interviews, and then make a decision. That's what we try to do.
I'm right there with you. 3 to 5, and you're done. So the first guy is the guy that you get in there that's the right guy, hire him.
Yeah.
Don't do comparison shopping.
Yeah.
All right. Give me 3 key takeaways that you'd like entrepreneurs to take away with.
Well, I think the one thing that you said at the start of the show was that if you build your organization, your culture right, the organism will reject what doesn't belong, and you'll know really quickly. And we've seen it many times where all of a sudden, wow, what's happening? Like nobody wants to. This guy's sitting over there, and everybody else is over here. So look for that cultural fit in the interview process, and make sure that everybody kind of has that fit. The other thing I would say is, take your time hiring. Hiring is tough to do. I know everybody is hiring at a time where they probably needed that person 6 months ago, but take your time hiring. And then if you need to make staffing changes, do it quickly. That's the famous
hire slow,
fire fast. But we've lived it so many times where we have hired too quickly and then that causes an issue. Or if there's a problematic issue going on and we let it linger too long, that's created an issue.
And as a leader, you have to monitor that
100%.
Really closely.
100%. And by the way, not just for us, the person who maybe there's some challenges with, they also feel it, right? It's not just a one-way thing. And so we've had folks say, thank you. Thank you. This has been great, but it's obviously not a fit. I'm moving on. And so making that decision quickly is really important. I think, trying to think of the third thing to tell you.
You know what? Those 2 are bomb. I'll tell you right there. If somebody gets that down, you're going to do well.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, good.
So, gosh, we're out of time for today's show. Anderee, thanks so much for your time investment today. And I want to welcome you to the Higher Power Radio community. Now, I'm sure lots of people are watching this that want to work for you. How do they find you?
LinkedIn. Okay. Or if you go to the website, there's a contact form. Just fill that out and someone will contact you.
And give us our web address real quick.
The web address is CIE digital, digital.com.
Perfect. All right. I want to thank our listening audience for tuning into this week's episode of Higher Power. A quick thanks of our team, our engineer, Paul Roberts, our producers, Andrea Ballin, Shanti Ryle, and our creative director, Ayla Gerard. If you're listening to the podcast, please subscribe, review, and share. We are listening, and we welcome your feedback. Again, this is 2 episodes in a row where I haven't cut off the guest because I got a lot of complaints about that. It's tough with a half-hour show, you know what I mean?
It is.
All right. You can join the Higher Power Radio community at Higher, that's H-I-R-E, Power, P-O-W-E-R, radio, R-A-D-I-O.com. And you can drop me an email at rick@StrideSearch to find out more about the career wounds, workshops, and webinars. Tune in next week. Our guest is going to be Ken Middleton. Ken is the DevOps recruiter. I'm Rick Gerard, your host. You've been listening to the Higher Power Radio Show. Aloha.
Thank you for listening to Higher Power with Rick Gerard on OC Talk Radio.